welcome to our program. On our show today, educationist and visionary, the Executive Secretary and Director General of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Shri H.N. Dastur. So welcome to our program.
Thank you.
Your association with Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, which completes 75 years of actually dedicating this movement to the field of education and growth, started very long ago. Let's start from there.
Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan established a college of journalism, advertising and printing for the first time in Western and Northern India in 1961. So I was a student of the first batch of the college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, colleges have laboratory journals. So we have a fortnightly and a monthly. So I was editor of these journals. So that is how I came into contact with Bhavan's founder Munshiji. And it was 2 years of delight, because Frank Moraes and Louis Fisher and all those giants were teaching us. Then you see, I was to join Statesman, and I received a postcard, handwritten postcard from Munshiji, "Ke, my dear Dastur," in Gujarati it was, "come and see me." And the CEO of the Bhavan, the Executive Secretary Ramkrishnan ji, who devoted his entire life to Bhavan also, so he wrote an inland letter I received from him in English, that
Okay.
"come and see me."
Okay.
So both independently thought of pulling me into Bharatiya.
So it was like a call coming to you.
Yeah, call committee.
Okay.
So that's how, you see, I joined Bhavan.
So you could have been a fabulous journalist, and yet your life has been dedicated to this movement called
Because
Bharatiya
I was
Vidya.
highly fascinated during these 2 years by the work of the Bhavan, the programs they were organizing, the seminars, Raja Gopalachari and Sir C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer and Dr. Panikar, and so it was, you know.
You know, when you talk of these luminaries, these Diggaj Purush, as we say, your eyes still light up. And, you know, in today's scenario, you're still dealing with a lot of young people. So do you think that somewhere in our whole system and so many years of education, have we produced enough people to inspire young people like you are totally inspired, even to date?
It's difficult. Nowadays it is difficult. I think formerly, you know, you see photographs of the leaders all around you. You can follow anybody. You can follow Gandhi, or you can follow Sardar, or you can follow Ghaffar Khan Sahab. But today, if we put the photographs, I think it's difficult.
So Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, what is Vidya for you?
Vidya is, you see, it is taken from the Sanskrit word Amrutam to Vidya. Knowledge is nectar. But that knowledge, I think Gnan is a better word than knowledge, because knowledge is not information which we get on internet or Google or all that. That is information. But knowledge is information transformed into wisdom, transformed into real reality of life.
जय जय विद्या भवन भारती जय जय.
As you journeyed through the growth of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan and your personal growth also, what were some defining moments which helped you link? Because, you know, we say learning happens in the education system and then go out and life teaches you something else. But we depend too much on our degrees to say we are learned or we've got a degree and now we can go and get a job. But that's not learning, you know, that's just acquisition of some technical inputs.
Absolutely.
Which could obviously sometimes be debunked in the real world. So in your journey, what were some learnings which transitioned?
You see, I joined as a public relations officer and assistant editor of Bhavan's journal. So as assistant editor of Bhavan's journal, I used to meet big people for interviews and for profile. We have a fortnightly, it's a fortnightly. So we have a column called Profile of the Fortnight. So I was in charge of that. So you meet them, you do them. It was a pleasure, and that's how, you know. Then at that time, Bhavan was a small thing. Very few organized, very few institutions, very few departments. Now that journey, one by one, the different fields of culture. Actually, Bhavan's work is now in 3 parts. One is education, one is culture, and the third is social service.
Okay.
We have entered in a big way in social service also, service to the poor.
As a small organization, it's easy to control quality, inputs and output.
Absolutely.
But as an organization grows bigger, there are challenges of scale.
Absolutely.
Some challenges the Bhavan is facing today?
Yes, of course, of course. At the lower level, the challenge is that we are all growing old, and it's very difficult to get young people. That commitment, that dedication, and satisfying with the resources which you are given to you, that is not there. That is a real challenge. In fact, the institute, we call it cultural movement, not institution. Our movement suffers from the old age at the top end, because it is very difficult. The times have changed, the atmosphere has changed. You know, this materialism, man's value is judged by his ability to make money, not earn money, make money, or have political or other powers, muscle power or political power. Only these are the two criteria. When we were young, you know, teachers were one of the poorest sections of the society, but they were so much respected that they got much more than what they give in matter of respect from the society. So, but now it is not so. Young people are very hard to come by.
So as an educational and a social reform movement, to see that a second line of leadership which is inspired to take the movement to the next level is not there.
It is, yes.
Is it disheartening?
I admit it is disheartening, but their explanation is spiritual, if you permit me.
Sure.
You see, God has always looked after Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. Our philosophy is that we have to become instrument of the Lord, for which some level of character is required. Then only God will make you His instrument. So once you become instrument of God, you are convinced that you are not doing it, but He is doing it. One has to do one's best, work for 18 hours, day and night you work if necessary, but you are not. He is working and He helps. So our founder used to say, Bhavan's work is God's work. I might have heard it 100 times. Bhavan's work is God's work, and it is really so. Even now, see, things happen which you have not planned. I will tell you one thing. 7 years ago, we took decision that we will not open schools anymore, because we have 90 schools. But circumstances so develop that, for instance, Rajasthan government said, your school is doing so well in Jaipur, we are giving you land, you open 10 kilometers away from this, and 7 new schools in India and 4 schools in the Gulf countries.
Okay.
So we think it is His will कि भाई open करो.
हम तो माध्यम हैं.
हम तो माध्यम है. That faith, you know, and in small things, when a crisis comes, when some people who would like to take advantage of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan or personal agenda, and we fight them, at that time, you know, things will happen which we have not planned, which we have not thought of, and it helps you.
Okay.
Now it's a spiritual explanation. Many people won't believe, but I have experienced. I am experiencing it almost every week.
You spoke of faith, sir. Do you think today there's a huge crisis of faith, forget outside, even within us?
Faith, you see, this globalization and the present state of the world have made young people more and more materialistic. They only think of money, and then the misuse of technology or overuse of technology. You go to the computer and plethora of information is poured on you. What is the use? What is reaching for a dictionary or encyclopedia had its own pleasure, you know, and you know, concentrating on that had its own pleasure. Because technology is to be used, but I see that technology is using the young people.
So, sir, do you think somewhere this bit about extreme materialism in young people, because finally having an economic level, an aspirational level, there's no end to that, there's no end to desire, but it's a strong need in all of them to have it. So do you think all this is a part of a process before we move on to higher realizations?
I don't know. It's a wonderful question, but only God can answer it, whether it will lead up or whether it will lead down. But India is a land of Punya Bhumi. I always consider it as a Punya Bhumi. And You know, we Parsis, about 1500 years ago, we came from Iran because Iran was invaded. There was a Parsi kingdom there, Zoroastrian kingdom. And many Parsis escaped in boats. Now, do you think that they were heading in those days? There was no technical boats or nothing. They were sails only. So, several of them must have gone into the other country. And there is a record also that they went towards Europe also. But only those who came to India survived and thrived, both. Why? It is a Punya Bhumi. That is why.
I want you to elaborate more on the Punya Bhumi bit.
See, the king of Sanjan, who gave the Parsis the shelter, made certain conditions. And all these conditions benefited Parsis. There was not one condition which would have benefited him. See the largeness of the heart, that you will forget your language, you will speak inside the house, learn Gujarati as your mother tongue, work for hours but learn it. Your girls will wear Gujarati sari, white sari. On the wedding day, you will have one Sanskrit sloka in your Ashirvachanam of marriage and all that. We still observe it. A Parsi lady girl may all her life will not wear sari, but on that day, white sari in Gujarati style. So that is, and Punya Bhumi, from rishis and Muslim saints in this country, how many of them, and our rishis of Vedas and all that, down to Tulsi, Mira, Sur, Kabir, Basveshwar, Gnaneshwar, take any region, Tyagaraj, down to Ramakrishna Paramhans, to Bhagwan Raman Maharishi, to Sai Baba. Sai Baba was in our time of Shirdi. So that's why I call it a Punya Bhumi.
Our young generations, are we leaving them with enough in-depth desire or inspiration to say, this is our heritage, these are our roots?
Right. In Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, we have about 90 schools and about 2 lakh students. So every year, it's a floating population. Every year, few hundred or few thousand enter. Every year, 200 got out. Our conscious efforts are to inculcate values in them, basic values of life. The basic credos of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan is Sarva Dharma Samabhav, equal respect and love for all religions. Ano Bhadraha Kratavayantu Vishwataha, let the noble thoughts come to us from every side. It may be any side. And Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. World is one family. Now the greatest enemy of humankind, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan believes, is the walls created between human beings in the name of language, in the name of religion, caste, creed, and even nationality.
True.
Even nationality.
Absolutely.
That walls have to be eradicated. So we make conscious efforts, dramatizing, creating such situation where moral values are inculcated. Then we have got cultural course books now which requires revision, and we are going to do it in a big way. And then you see, conscious workshops are held for the teacher, how to do it. Then we went to Sai Baba schools and we went to Aurobindo school and everywhere to learn whether they have any. And we had, so the most important work of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan is not tangible. You can't see the results of it. But even if we succeed in 7% or 10% of our boys getting those values, then we will produce upright citizens. And there is always hope, because if you give them right direction, they are human beings. Not if you give these children or students right direction, they will go in the right direction. And this is our major effort. What we are doing.
All right. The other challenge with the educational organizations and institutions, sir, is that when numbers increase, the commercial aspect of education also takes a little ugly turn.
True.
And how is Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan managing this?
You see, we have got several types of schools, though most of them attached to CBSE. We have got schools in rural areas which run in high losses. We maintain that loss. And we see that the teacher and taught ratio is well maintained. And in spite of the challenges, and we do not want to cater to the elite only. When the right to education came, in the formulation of the Right to Education Act and in the implementation, there are many weaknesses remain. But still, you see, we wrote to all our principals that you have to accept this, with the result 25% at the entry. With the result, poor people won't come. So our teachers went to slums and went to poor areas and said that, "Bhai, this is an opportunity for you, please come." That much loss for us. Then 6 pay commission, that much loss for us, huge salaries and all that. But still, I am sorry, I have no logical, but again I am coming to the same thing, that God helps. Whenever we require, God helps.
He ensures that water finds its way.
Water. There is no doubt about
Flows
it.
in the
And our founder Munshiji said that Bhavan's worth and Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan's worth and value should not be judged by how much property it has or how much assets it has or what is the size of its budget or how many schools and institutions it has or publications it has. We are one of the large publishers in the country.
Yes.
How many publications we have? It will be judged by the character of the core group of the Bhavan's family, both stipendiary and honorary.
Okay.
That character, if this core group maintain the character, then we will have no problem.
Which is where you're saying we're finding it a challenge bringing young, fresh blood into the core group.
Exactly.
Okay. Again, when we talk of education, we talk of spread, we also talk of a vision. Munshiji's vision for Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, what was it?
Munshiji's vision was, ultimately, he said, to transform human nature. That was his ultimate goal. To transform human nature through several imaginative and visionary activities. For instance, he thought of establishing Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in early 1930s.
Okay.
Can you imagine? And he knew that he was a disciple of Gandhiji through and through. He wouldn't do any major thing in his life without asking him. Even his second marriage, he asked Bapu after the death of his first wife. So he went to Gandhiji and discussed with him and all that. And he knew that Bapu was going to bring freedom. And he thought that when freedom will come, democracy will come, and Nehru, Sardar, Maulana Sahab, Rajaji, they will take care of democracy and economic development and all that. But who would take care of the culture and the spiritual heritage of our country? Because education was British, history was British, the elite of the country or the educated people of the country who will have to run, he thought, our country are all influenced by the British influence. And that will only produce second class Westerners. You have to go deep into our culture, we have to go deep into our spiritual heritage, and therefore we need a cultural movement of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan's concept. That was the concept. And he established it in 1938, almost 10 years before the independence came. And look at his priority. First was Sanskrit. He thought that there is no Bharatiya Sanskriti without Sanskrit. So Sanskrit, Ardhamagdi, Pali, our ancient languages, institutions were started for that. Pathashala was started in which every student for 6 years was given free education, even free clothes, free food and free hostel. And if they want to study besides Sanskrit up to MA, MCom, MSc in our colleges, the education free.
Okay.
So other Sanskrit has no money, so people have to come now. With the result, if you go to Mauritius today or if you go where the Indian population is inconsiderable, the Pandit will invariably from the Bhavan. Invariably, say 90% from the Bhavan. Then the second priority was, he was very careful about history. History, we do not know our own history, then what has happened? So he commissioned, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan commissioned 70 historians, 70, under the leadership of Dr. R.C. Majumdar. And we named it, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan named it, History of the People and Culture of India. When we were taught history, the headline of a chapter will be Ashok, Akbar, but here, People and Culture of India. From Vedic times to 1947, 11 volumes most authentic. The whole world applauded it at the time. And it took 33 years to finish it. For 70s. Then he started publications. The first paperback revolution was brought in this country by Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. 2 rupees and 2.5 rupees book.
Which brought it to massive.
Yes, yes. And Ramayana and Mahabharata of Rajaji are the 2 horses to a publication chariot. 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million. It is going on. English book, huh? English book. And 1 millionth copy was released in Delhi at the Vigyan Bhavan by then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So he said, you want to see the power of blessings of Mahatma? Go and see Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, he said. Then he, then publications, then magazines in Gujarati, in Hindi, in English, in Marathi, publications were started. And then schools and colleges slowly
So it was a process.
started. It was a process. It was a process. It was a process. And then social service organization like helping the poor people, getting education and all that. We have a widow empowerment center in, we call it Mahila Vibhag of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in Kochi, where poor women, poorest widows are trained in crafts and arts and flower and everything. And their products are marketed by us. And they are given independence, bank accounts are opened and all that. Our Amritsar school gives 200 widows 35 kilos of grain every month on the first week of every month. So our Sainik Puri in Hyderabad, I am in Andhra Pradesh. There you see our hospital outpatient department is almost free. Inpatient department, we are installing new machines and serving the poor of the area. That way we have gone into that also. In between the real cultural activities is performing arts.
Okay.
And performing arts, make your heart sensitive.
Absolutely.
Sensitive. So Munshiji started, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan started a department called Kala Kendra. Even before they started college. And in this Kala Kendra, dramas and dance and music, performing arts, all performing arts. So we used to organize inter-collegiate drama competition in Bombay in 6 languages, including Arabic and including Urdu and Sanskrit. From this Kala Kendra has emerged all the topmost giants of the Gujarati stage, several giants of Marathi stage like Vijaya Mehta, and all India actors like Sanjeev Kumar, Rakesh Khanna, Amjad Khan and all that. They first performed on Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan stage.
So it's like the Bhavan and this whole movement had a head, mind, spirit of its own. It just flowed.
Yes.
And the others were just
And
coming.
he started music in dance college where Allah Rakha Sahab was teaching tabla at 200 rupees a month salary. Where Pandit Dinkar Kaikini and Chidanand Nagarkar and they were giants now.
Wow.
Now our many centers teach, including our London Center, music and dance, where Ravi Shankar was associated, Yehudi Menuhin was associated with it and all that.
Okay. So that means along with scale, there has been depth also.
Yes.
So that's what is making any institution more sustainable or a movement more sustainable. You need both. You need spread and depth both. In terms of mentoring, I'm sure Munshi ji had a special way of mentoring because you were mentored by him. He was like virtually like a guru for you. What were some memories or some things which were very special and unusual about him that you remember?
I have no base in Bombay. I come from Gujarat. Till today I have no base in Bombay. From South Gujarat. So I was staying, as a paying guest, I was staying. I had my education and everything staying in a fire temple.
Really?
Fire temple, where you have to eat what is given to you and where I have to perform as priest 2 hours before going to college. So
tempered by fire, huh? Steel becomes fine steel.
How nice, well put. So, and then when I joined Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, I took a paying guest accommodation. And in those days, Parsis houses were, the toilet block will be invariably separate on religious ground. And there will be one bridge between the two. So that collapsed where I was staying.
Okay.
So the good old lady who looked after me so well told me, beta, kal to khali karna hai. Without water and without what can you do? So my eldest brother who was in Bombay, not in Bombay, in those days no STD. You have to put trunk call, aaya ke, laga ke,
Yes.
hours together,
Yes.
you know.
And then get a PP call.
Then get a PP call and
I
then
remember.
lightning call came afterwards, you know.
Yes.
So then my boss Ramkrishnan, then executive secretary, was also all away. So young Dastur dared to ring up Munshi ji. Okay, sir, you please tell our registrar Shivram to make till I find another guest. So he said, my house is big enough, why don't you come? By this one gesture, he bought me for a lifetime.
How lovely. How lovely.
And I stayed with him for 2 years and few months. And Rajaji used to come to stay with him, and Giants used to come, and
So
I
it's
got
not
it.
my house is big enough, my heart is big enough.
Bilkul.
Come and stay with me.
Absolutely. And to take breakfast every day with a person like his caliber and all that.
So you absorbed, huh?
Oh, yeah.
You absorbed just
And
like
so much I became part that Mrs. Munshi started looking for Parsi girls for me
How
to
lovely.
get married. I said, Baba, I cannot afford to have. I don't have a basin. Please understand that. No. We are there. We are such lovely people are there.
Okay.
Now, how can you not be totally
I know.
committed to their ideals?
Completely understand. So I think again, and as a young person, belief is not something that happens. Belief grew
Grows.
as and when you went through that path.
Absolutely.
And today we are in such a hurry. 3 साल का डिग्री 2 साल में हो जाए, 2 साल का 6 महीने में हो जाए, कोर्स खत्म करो,
I
ये
know,
नौकरी,
I
moving
know.
from one job. We're in such a hurry to move on
I know.
to what we might miss in life
I know.
that we don't
The
absorb.
real pleasure, the real joy of life doesn't confine to money or material things, You see, what does this touch telephone come? You are pressing the button, some exercise is taken. Now touch it. Now they say eyes. If eyes move out of the so you don't have to do anything. You have to move your eyes. You see, formally you dial the receiver. Tadak,
Yes.
tadak, tadak. You
Yes.
understand that?
Absolutely.
So physical comfort, more and more physical comfort is not the end of life. Our father had no gas when I was young. We didn't have this gas or all that. It was sab chula and everything, but we were very happy. The happiest part of my life was my childhood in Navsari. So it has nothing to do with somebody should try to make. We are trying in our schools. Real joy of life doesn't cost you money. You read Shakespeare or see Michelangelo or read our Sanskrit scriptures translation, and you will have or Kishori Amonkar's Bhoop, ya to Amir Khan Sahab's Marwa. You hear and then you see what joy. Understand what joy actually in life is, not material comforts.
We're just looking at a few senses to titillate, but there's so many other inner senses of ours. We're starving them.
Exactly.
And not even catering to
Exactly. In my Parsi religion, they say there is a cow and a wolf inside. Now, giants like Mahatma Gandhi, they will bring the cow in you out. The materialism or this materialistic philosophy or these people will bring.
them. True.
Hitler brought the wolf from within, very good German people. You see, so
There are two.
So there are two pravas hai.
Which will you allow?
So everybody is potentially divine. Everybody is potentially an excellent human being. Only thing is two.
Absolutely.
And that's what Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan believes. It may be wrong, believes that it is trying to do and succeeding to some extent.
In terms of young people coming in and their requirement from what they see, because even seeing Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan not as a place to imbibe but as an institution is limiting the Bhavan itself, And a lot of students come in
Correct.
looking at saying, I'm going to get my degree and my thappa, and which is now going to take me on to another job, which is fair. It's a need at that particular point of
Right.
time. It's a challenge you must be facing in terms of how students come in,
Right.
in terms of
But we are very conscious about SP Jain Institute. It is one of the 10 best business schools, perhaps in Asia. So every student of SP has to adopt a slum child
okay.
under a scheme. It's compulsory. And look after the child needs for 2 years. that we will pay. That Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, their textbooks or they need clothes, but you have to. So they got so attached that even after the leave, they continue to look after this. Therefore, SP Jain's placement was why it was our school's reputation, why it is so. Because they know that not only textbook or not only these are taught, something else of human being is taught also.
Role of the teacher. Do you see that changing, and do you think that we give enough importance to how we choose and allow our teachers to grow?
Yeah, I know, but this materialism has enveloped our society. So either you are a doctor doing false surgery or recommending big costly tests when it is not needed, or you are an advocate, or you are a teacher. Everybody is enveloped with this materialistic A. So teacher is no exception at all. And what our experience in Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan is that it is not necessary that if you pay more, 6-pay commission is paying teachers a lot. A professor junior professor gets 80,000 rupees. I have seen that giving more money does not make them more committed or does not make them more sincere. Money has nothing to do with it. In our times, the teachers were, not all of them, but several of them, such committed, poor teacher, materially poor, but when they will pass from the market, the entire market will say, hello sir, kamcho, namaskar, vagera, vagera. So
they enjoyed a different place even in society.
Exactly.
So in terms of teacher training, do we need to really make some initiatives?
Absolutely, absolutely. We must have workshops, and the basic thing is making heart sensitive. Raja Gopalachari delivered 3 lectures on culture. I was not in Bhavan at that time, but I attended it. And being a student, you go with note and all that. So last day he said, now I will sum up my 3 days lecture. So I was ready. I was writing it daily, but I was ready that the old man will give this summing up. He said, culture is consideration for others. 3 words, consideration for others. And he sat down.
Wow.
I am summing up my 3. So that consideration or that thing, people is becoming, globalization means globe. Vishwamano, no. Globalization has narrowed down the circle from the nation to the state to then now only on the family, and in some cases only on that individual. So globalization has worked mentally the reverse direction actually. I am not blaming globalization entirely because the atmosphere in the entire world has brought it about perhaps. But just I am saying that this type of attitude, that me, I and myself is, it's khatarnak attitude. This consideration for others, that Rajaji said, if that doesn't come, and everybody is for himself, how the society is going to?
So as we saying now, we are all eye specialists without the medical degree. We have become eye specialists. So we are going to go in for a short break. Okay. When we come back, we want to also understand from you that today we are looking at a demographic dividend of young people from India actually being so productive that they make the country take the next level economically, bring in more equity. But education plays a critical role in that. So we'll talk about that, a little more about the journey, and how can parents who are parenting young people make the shift to bring up actually global world-class citizens with good strong values. All that and a lot more after the break. Welcome back. We're still in this very interesting conversation with educationist and visionary Shri H.N. Dastur. So talking now of parents who are parenting young people and bringing this demographic dividend about in this country. Has there been a change? Because you interact with a lot of parents. Are parents wanting different things?
Today's school-going children's parents are coming from a young generation. They are young themselves and all that. So the values inculcated into them is, the pampering of the children has gone beyond limits. See, you come from a movie. I have seen with myself, with my friends, grandchildren, and beautiful food in the house. No, we would like to have pizza, and the father will go in his cart in search of pizza, and whatever they want, they are getting. Which means that when they will not get what they are wanting, they may be miserable, they may be broken, or they may be criminals to get what they want.
What they want.
You see, that's the problem. Some deprivation, some here what happens in, I am talking of big cities. You see, there are two Indias. Those children, you know, they don't get, even in Bombay, you throw your milk bag and the child will pick it up and see whether there are some drops of milk in it. And we people, the child will push aside the whole glass full of milk. You see, that's the
Be the educated. Be the educated.
this difference. And therefore, what I see the worst trend is that give them no difficulties, give them give them whatever they want. Young itna boy, I would like to have 7,000. I would like to have this particular type of mobile, and they struggle to give him. You see,
So that means the skill of handling adversity, we are taking that away.
Gone. And adversity can strike at any moment.
Absolutely.
You know, your father can die. Yeah, can you? God forbid. Anybody's father can die, or some other difficulties are bound to come. He may lose a job, or then what are you going? Or when you grow up, you face the difficulties, and what are you going to do?
Emotional adversity also. You know, difficult.
So the simplicity of lifestyle, simple lifestyle. You see, you have to have a Lakshman Rekha on your lifestyle that I will go till then, howsoever much I am going to get. But here it is not so. Say Lakshman Rekha on TV or washing machine or refrigerator or air condition, even whatever. But have a Lakshman Rekha. But here it is not so. If they were satisfied in going to a normal type of restaurant and eating, then they will want 5 stars hotel eating, then they will, you know, start drinking and then bragging, young people bragging that I have taken 700 rupees peg of whiskey, 700 rupees, and people are committing suicide for 5,000 rupees because they don't have 5,000 rupees. How long can it, I mean,
it's not a sustainable way at all to live.
So education, I am not saying a formal college school education, but people of this country, this world, the world who rule for whom the countries rule and the countries rule by them, that world, you see, they must understand this. This is
that दायरे जरूरी हैं. As the child grows and the child understands, दायरों को बड़ा करिए, but limits are a must.
Exactly.
Because limits teach you. You know,
you won't get more than this. That's all. You have to do that. But then, and you know, in elder man and women, you know, देखा देखी होती है, jealousy होती है. ऐसे children में भी है ना. That is a thing you can't help it. That he has a table tennis table in his house, and I don't have it. His food comes in the car, and I carry my food. ऐसा होता है.
that means
Therefore, you know, I am against middle class people tight belt करके elite school में जो भेजते हैं ना बच्चों को, वो बच्चों को inferiority complex देते हैं भाई पूरी जिंदगी तक.
और वो बच्चों को self esteem issues होते हैं.
Absolutely. Or not only inferiority complex, they will demand, they will be unsatisfied, they will be totally dissatisfied and unhappy. So school भी select करने में ये देखना जरूरी है. We experiment in one of our school के after 20% long before right to education came, 20% poor people will enter because school is doing well, and let them. Then what was the major problem? Teachers were given workshops and they were ready, and principal was very good and compassionate man and all that. What was the trouble? The elite students, I mean middle class, higher middle class, and these students won't accept them. They will treat them cruelly. You know, there is a proverb in, I mean, it is said in English, okay, as cruel as a child. Child can be very cruel. So they will hurt him. Suka pav kha rahe. They are eating pizzas or something, all the fronts. So we have to stop the experiment.
Okay. Okay.
Then what we did is, that's a different matter. In the evening, after the school closed, we called those students, and teachers give them special tuitions and textbooks, and they want clothes, that we give.
Okay. Okay.
But this, therefore, in Right to Education Act, we sent a circular to our students, our principals, and said that this is going to be our main problem. Please understand that. And first, educate the teachers. They have to accept these children. Some teachers may not.
Today, parents say they want to be their children's friends. Is that a good trend?
Well, it depends upon your definition of friendship. A true friend slaps you in the face if you are not listening to him. A true friend is always friendly. A true friend shows you that, hey, you are going wrong there. And only a friend can do that. If they are that type of friend, welcome. Otherwise, it's just not...
So a friend is not somebody who always agrees with what
Exactly. That's why we have so few friends in life. And what is the role of a friend? To share our pleasure and to point out and share our difficulties and to point you out. अरे भाई तुम गलत रास्ते पे जा रहे हो, क्या कर रहे हो? वो friend ही कह सकता है ना. हाँ. So that's what.
So be a friendly parent. You don't have to be a friend. You can be friendly, but a parent is a parent.
Exactly.
That's important.
And then what I see the trend is that parent gives so much love, give everything that they, and then in the when they grow up old, they go away to America, don't return, and the parents suffer alone. All this, you know what problem I'm mentioning?
Emptiness.
Then
absolutely.
what do they feel? That's how I've given my whole entire life. It is their fault because they didn't keep the balance.
So balance is very important.
They didn't keep the balance between love and the correct attitude. You have to.
So love is not only about giving, love is also about teaching young people how to give.
Naturally, absolutely.
You know, how do you see competition, sir? Is it good or not good?
Again, it's a there can't be any sweeping answer to this. Competition is good always, but in the competition, to maintain its tempo, what things are done at the business level or at the commercial level? What things are done? To what extent they go to see that their competitor bites the dust? So ultimately it comes, sister, to ethics. Ultimately it comes to what is right and what is wrong.
You spoke of ethics, sir. You could have been a journalist. You still write, of course.
No, I was writing. I have stopped because pressure on time.
That's right. Ethics in journalism. How have you seen journalism move from the days of when you did your...
Hey, don't tell me that. If there is any nosedive that I have seen in values, it is journalism. It is a dual cut nosedive. Everything is paid for. You see, in our times, even when after I joined Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan as a young PRO, the editors like Frank Moraes or Girilal Jain or Nanporia or Binod Rao or D.K. Mankekar, they used to welcome the young man. Yes, young man, what is your institution doing and all that. And a lecture, everything will be published. And they were eager to publish constructive, good things. For instance, Lal Bahadur Shastri, when he was Prime Minister, laid the foundation of our Bangalore Bhavan. I went to the news editor, veteran Venkatraman. So I said, sir, Bangalore mein ye ho raha hai, you have to. So he said, our Shastri ji, I say, yes, surely, if you bring it at 11 in the night, front page, otherwise inside page, up to 12. So I remember in those days, no STD, nothing. I went to airport and some passenger will bring it, to whom I should flout our magazine BHAVAN'S journal. Then he would know that here is a person.
Okay.
Then he will take it, and then I will take a cab and ask cab, I will give you double, you rush me and all that type of, everybody was eager to, Sardar Panikkar or Rajaji's speech on culture, I said, every day our English papers in Bombay will give the gist master reporters. What they spoke for 1 hour, they will give in one column. Master reporters were there. Now you see, whatever constructive attitude you do, you see, 75 years of an institution like Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan is not a mere joke, you know. Rashtrapati comes to inaugurate the celebrations, and Infosys Narayanan Sahib, a real compassionate man, and Ila Bhatt of Seva, the greatest Gandhian alive today. Ila Bhatt, marvel of a human being, and Kishori Amonkar in music. We give our honorary membership. Bhavan has given 45 people in his 75 history honorary membership, from Nehru to Sardar to...
Only 45? And other institutes hand them off like, you know, candies.
Mother Teresa, Dalai Lama,
Okay,
and all
wonderful.
that, to all of them.
Wonderful.
So this time we gave to these three. President came to inaugurate, and it was a grand, no report in several papers.
Just see that.
And when our people went with the report, paisa. I'll tell you an example. I have a great doctor friend called Dr. Dinesh Daftari. Now, he's not only a dental surgeon, but he is a pre-oral cancer expert of the world standards. He received the highest prize of that. A very leading newspaper, English newspaper man, goes to him and says that you have brought honor to the country and we will publish things for you. And your interview. We will interview you and all that. Normally it costs this many lakh, but since you have done so well, it will cost.
This causes so much of cynicism, and it's breach of faith again.
Absolutely. And look at, in those days, the standards, madam. I was in Times of India during my students' age. You have to take practical training of 6 months. It was compulsory. So I had selected a weekly and Times of India. So Times of India, my next day brainstorming session will be there. And what will be there? This deserves on the front page. Why did it go in that underneath page?
Okay.
One spelling mistake and it will be pointed out. So all around standards.
So then the mandate of institutions like Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan and the journalists that are coming out from there, the mandate is all the more important to say we need ethics in journalism.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where you see the standards have fallen so much. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So are you optimistic about the future?
I think we are human beings. We are sparks of divine. So ultimately they will overcome all these things. They have overcome the Second World War and they have overcome this. This may be a temporary phase.
Part of the
and
process.
better things can come. Who knows?
And I'm very sure it's the same God which is actually helping Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan negotiate all its issues and come out with flying colors.
Take it seriously. He does help.
I believe you. And
At
not only
every-
believe you, I also know that in our personal lives, it happens. We just don't recognize it, but it happens all the
If you
time.
keep your awareness intact, you will find that, array,
Miracles.
what beautiful.
Absolutely. Miracles.
Right.
Thank you so much, sir, for bringing miracles to our program.
Array, pleasure is
It
mine.
was such a delight learning with you, sir.
Pleasure is
Thank
mine.
you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.